I saw an industry that genuinely needed immediate help.
This is a special group of people.
Yeah, understatement of the century. Yeah, the most rewarding thing is being able to see people's progress, being able to continue to evolve them.
I think my biggest change mental is that I
started training in the gym in February 2014. Realized that there were potentially people who were like me that could do with some sort of help.
You first had the online coaching already and Dave reached out to you?
Dave reached out to me. I started coaching him. More and more people within the cybersecurity and tech space.
What's the difference between like being a personal trainer for We Hack Health? Why change it?
I had to relearn how to do a lot of things. I had everything in a Facebook group. Why do these motherfuckers not all have Facebook? As someone who had never been on Discord before, that was a fucking huge thing to learn. Things need to be dealt with in a certain way, managing people's information.
Privacy?
Yeah, the privacy for sure. It's a lonely job for the majority of the time. They can't necessarily talk about the stuff that they want to talk about.
We have a very personal relationship. I'm just sending you my photo after every workout, right?
Yeah.
I'm in with a new group of friends.
I have about 100 clients between the private clients that I work with and then the ones that are in the endgame program. How do I manage them all? I have an ability to get a lot of work done. He doesn't think I'm a control freak, I'm a quality freak.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yo, welcome back. Today we are flipping things upside down. Andreas didn't want me to ask him questions, so he's going to host. I'm going to answer questions, so let's get into it.
I have some basic questions. We'll start slow.
Worry about it. I'm happy. I am here for whatever you need.
Okay, shall we start?
We've already started. This is it. You're in it.
Oh, this is it.
Yeah,
we're
done.
So, okay, let's start. So, hi. Thanks for sitting down.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So, let's just start easy and give me a little bit like if people don't watch every podcast and just have no idea, maybe first thing, a little bit like your backstory.
Where do you want to start? Coaching?
Yeah, just coaching. And why did you get into coaching?
So I started training in the gym in February 2014. I started because the guy that I used to go partying with he had just completed his personal training qualification. He was like, would you fancy being my first client so that I have a transformation to sell? I was like, yeah, let's go. And we started, I think the goal was we would do 6 or 8 weeks. And it was the first, I had tried the gym before, but it was the first time I actually was like, okay, I'll stick to this because I was doing it to help him out. And I mean, it's just grown since then. After probably about a year and a half, 2 years, obviously really enjoyed it and realized that there were potentially people who were like me that could do with some sort of help that I did with the same. So I was like, fuck it, we'll do this. I also fucking hated my job and I was like, right, fuck, I'll quit my job. We will try the coaching thing and we'll go from there. Initially it was to help people who quote unquote were like me. And if I say like me, what I mean is people who were, had a background of, at the time I said partying and sort of just being a fucking asshole. But if I sort of try and phrase it now, it's more people who neglected their health and wanted to change that.
That's cool.
From that point, started coaching in Gymco in December 2016. Coached one-to-one pretty much exactly up until COVID happened, which whenever the fuck that was, and then moved fully online from that. In that, I guess, year, 2020, I think that was, Dave reached out to me, I started coaching him, and then from that point, just started getting more and more people within the cybersecurity and tech space.
Okay, so we are now in the transition between you're just a standard personal trainer, and going, so what you did was you first had the online coaching already, and Dave reached out to you.
Yeah.
So I think many people are on the program or just found you through Dave.
Yeah.
And We Hack Health, basically, that was a founding, like the start of We Hack Health, right? So when you look back, the interesting thing is what's the difference between like being a personal trainer for everyone and now in the We Hack Health? What was the idea? Why change it? Is it a personal training for everyone? It's just for hackers, right? Or IT security or whatever in the scene. Where did the first? I want to ask, like, what's the first idea? Was it like, let's do hackers or let's do this community at all? Or where did it develop from the personal training too?
Well, I think that if I were to separate the two, whenever I was coaching on the gym floor and I was coaching quote unquote anybody, initially it was just a case of, truthfully, anybody that would just give me money that needed help. I think every coach has to go through that. They just need to get clients to pay them and get them a result. You'll find out the people that you enjoy working with and you don't, and you'll start to understand the character traits within that. The difference, I guess the reason that We Hack Health was born, for want of a better phrase, is I saw an industry that genuinely needed help. It wasn't immediate. I would say probably about a year after, just under a year, because it was the August that we started the podcast, and I was like, that was the decision to be like, right, I'm just going to lean into this industry. It was 11 months then of understanding very specific problems and very specific needs, and like I said, an industry that struggled with. Yeah. If I take it right back to why I started, they had neglected their bodies for, years, if not decades. So I then find myself in the space of like, okay, right, well, this is it, maybe not exactly how I saw it, but this is what I wanted to do. I want to help people who had neglected their bodies for a while. The difference is we're a lot more specific within the stuff that we do because the struggles of the industry are similar across the board. So we can be a lot more specific in terms of the problems that we try and solve.
That's true. So there's a red line. You want to help people, and you found a group of people that you thought you had the ability to help.
Yeah.
It's your program. But this is a special kind of group of people.
Yeah. Understatement of the century, yeah.
Which comes, I think, with many obstacles. So you are not only a personal trainer and online coach, and however you frame yourself, but also a businessman. So which are the obstacles you face in this with this special group of people? I think there might be many things people might not be aware of that come with this business, like We Hack Health and everything around it.
Well, I think the obstacles initially where I had to relearn how to do a lot of things, as simple as, where I hosted things. So before, and actually even whenever I coached Dave, like I had everything in a Facebook group and, a Facebook group DM. I started to realize that as I onboarded more clients, like I don't have Facebook. And I was like, why do these motherfuckers not all have Facebook? So we shifted everything off over to Discord. As someone who had never been on Discord before, that was a fucking huge thing to learn. Additionally to that, there are a lot more, I don't want to say problems, but a lot more considerations, I'll say, in terms of the people we deal with. Things need to be dealt with in a certain way. Managing people's, information, managing people's, how they process information, being able to speak in a way that they understand.
Also maybe privacy.
Yeah, the privacy for sure. But, being able to speak in a way that they understand, like finding a way that I can explain the problem that they're facing with their health in a way that they understand. I'm not sitting here saying that I understand fully, that I can give a complete analogy or metaphor for, that thing specifically within tech or cybersecurity, but just being able to speak a language. So getting them to understand that, also getting them to, process the information and actually action on it. That was an obstacle, but I think that as it has grown and as we have more people within within each of the programs, the other people help that because they see potentially, similar reasons or excuses that they could have, and other people overcome them. So, I potentially said this to you, and I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely try and say it quite a lot. That one of the benefits that I have over quote unquote regular coaches is the people that I work with, because they do, they can have conversations that they wouldn't have in other places. Like I said, they share similar struggles or potential excuses. So they're able to see other people within the space and see how they were able to overcome them. The people are willing to share that. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits to what we have within We Hack Health.
That's true. I actually agree 100%. Like from my personal experience, the group of people running around and having made very similar experiences, and if it's just sitting on the ass for all the time, and see them progress and being successful in what they want to do in their personal health journey, let me say it like this, it's very motivating. So that there's it. But you also have put into place some things like you mentioned Discord, but you also have put into place specific things like the meetups. Right? Do you want to say something about that? Is that something you think that people actually benefit from? So what's the things you offer? You especially offer in the business now for these kind of group people or cybersecurity people that they need and that you think they need.
Yeah, I think
to connect, because everyone sits at home, right?
Yeah.
So we are here and we see each other as Discord, but it's kind of the way of communicating was still not personal, but we all are connected at a personal level at some point. And how did you achieve that?
The events were a key part in that. I'm not necessarily sure why I made the decision to do an event in the first place, but after I did the first event, I was like, okay, right, this is something that we can continue to grow. I would say probably the event that really shifted things for me was the one that we did in Colorado, which was our 4th event. I remember, I don't know why, but I flew back with Dave from Colorado and I spent a couple of days in Cleveland with him. And I remember sitting down and I was like, okay, right, this is something that's much bigger than just me, seeing, and maybe it was because there had been a few and I had seen the relationship that had been formed. And I was like, the people keep coming back from the events. So this is something that I think will really continue to strengthen the friendships that have been made. It will continue to sort of strengthen the internal people that I get to work with. I think that the benefit that they see is it's something to work towards. So if there's an event coming up, they're like, okay, right, well, I'm going to see everybody, so I want to push a little bit I want to push a little bit more so that when I'm there, they can see the progress. But also, like you said, it's a lonely job for the majority of the time. And I mean lonely as in just sitting at your fucking computer in the house potentially, or even for myself, I just sit in this fucking office 6 days a week. One day Dill comes in. So there's not really that level of human interaction. My observation is lonely in the fact that they can't necessarily talk about the stuff that they want to talk about because of the nature of the job that they do. Yeah. I'm not saying they sit here and, they talk about that specifically, but they can have conversations within this space that they wouldn't necessarily have in other spaces. So it brings the element of bringing people together. It brings the element of human interaction. It brings the element of being able to do things in person. For me, it gives the in-person side to coaching. So if I think right back to them being a one-to-one personal trainer, I get to do that, but I get to do it on my own terms. Yeah. So I don't like the idea of, every Tuesday you're going to be here at 7 a.m. training. I'm not into that. But if we do them 3, 4, 5, 6 times a year, I know that I'll get that element. So that benefits me as a coach. It also allows me to bring the rest of the coaches in the team together. And it also gives everybody who attends that sort of one-on-one, hands-on experience that they will necessarily not always get in an online format.
Cool. Yeah, for me, it's like, for me and you, our relationship, I feel like I need someone to be like holding me responsible. Mm-hmm. So I'm just sending you my photo after every workout, right? Yeah. And I know if I don't do that, actually that I didn't train that day. Yeah. So that's a cool thing. That's a relationship we build. And I feel like one thing we have here, we have a very personal relationship to everyone. Mm-hmm. Each and everyone among each other has a good relationship. But
I think just before you move on to that, sure. Like I mentioned you specifically yesterday in a podcast, and I think that the coolest thing for me is seeing the relationships that are built within this that exist externally. So, private conversations that happen, or people being able to help things, whether it's on a business side or whether it's on a health side, or even down to meetups or events that happen that don't involve me, because somebody's traveled to a different country, someone's traveled to a different city, and they then are like, oh, I'm going to be here for work or whatever they're there for, let's go and train and meet up. So knowing that happens externally, that's how I see this grow and see that it's something that's actually very valuable to be a part of.
Absolutely. Yeah, for me, and I just want to move on there. So for me, one of the most rewarding things I was saying is just not, I went in with the idea of working on my health, mm-hmm. but I went out, or I'm in with a new group of friends. Mm-hmm. Was the most rewarding thing for everything we are doing here. But I want to ask you, what's your most rewarding thing of either for you as a private person, mm-hmm. like doing this, and also as a business person? So the whole business of course, it merges and melts it together at some point. But just if you think about what's the most rewarding thing doing about this, you mentioned like you like to help people for sure.
Yeah.
That was your red line there, and you enjoyed that. But is there something specific, like you say, okay, I'm not talking about money, like this doesn't matter in this context, but is there something you say, wow, I was never able to imagine me being that person at a point in time back, if you think like Ben 15 years ago, whatever, you say you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
So you're sitting here now having this podcast
So what's the most rewarding thing about the business or the events?
both, like not the events, like the whole thing, like for you as a private person and as a business person.
I think
Just elaborate on. Maybe it's the same thing, so it's fine.
I think from an event perspective, the most rewarding thing is being able to continue to evolve them, being able to continue to make them better. I joke that, I never have a plan, but, a lot goes into putting the events together, and actually seeing it come together is the most rewarding thing. Like the day of the event or the start of the event, or, everyone's how you're feeling. I'm like, at this point, I'm totally chill because I've done all the work and I know, I have the plan and everybody's here and whatever else. So seeing that come to life, to me, events specifically, that's the most rewarding thing. From the business side and the client base and the people I get to work with, being able to see people's progress. Like the reason that I love coaching is being able to show people that they can do things that they never thought were possible, and being able to see, people achieve the goals that they came with initially. So the first call that we sat down, but then being able to see those goals evolve into things that those people never thought were even possible. So that belief and that continued progress, and then the want and the desire for more, is to me the most rewarding thing about coaching in general.
That's cool. And I love how you all the time speak about like developing people. But what was the most development you went through? Like you developed the people and they achieve things but the whole process, building the business and building everything around the community and helping people to achieve their goals health-wise, or even just not also mental health-wise, and everything was going on. But of course, you also went through in development. Like you said, you were an asshole back then.
Yeah.
So what was your how would you see your development throughout the process, and what were the key steps there?
I think that, I guess the biggest thing for me in terms of development is back to the coaching side. Like if we were to think of it in different stages or whatever, there are many times that I will get to something or something will happen, whether it's in terms of growth of the business or size of the events or whatever. Like I'm like, if you think about me 15 years ago, there is never a part of me that would have imagined that I would be doing, whether it's building a gym or whether it's the Phoenix event that there was 50 people at. There's some points within that, even if it's during or after, I'll be like, nah, there's no way that I ever would have been able to manage to do that. So I see the growth of me as a person and me being able to achieve things that I never thought that I would, to the point that I'm now like, okay, well, if I've done all these things, here's this fucking absolutely obnoxious, over the top, potentially borderline insane goal. I absolutely back myself to do it. So it's just that continued backing myself in terms of my ability to execute on things.
So your self-conscious grow?
Yeah.
If you had all the success now, like building this, being successful and doing that, were there any mistakes that you said, oh, this was a big fuck up?
First of all, I struggle with the fact of saying having success. I laughed. This is one of the podcasts I recorded, Matt, one of the days this week. I don't know if you feel the same. Obviously, someone that owns a business. Like I personally don't feel like I have success. I think I have been successful in things, and I'm not discrediting any of those stuff. But like for me, as things grow and things develop, I don't think I will reach success. I feel like I will continue to be like, okay, well, what can we do to do more? Okay. So I think that continues to develop.
So frame success more in like being successful, helping people.
Yeah.
So that's a success.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
You're out here helping people.
Yeah.
You're being successful in that. But was there anything like where you really fucked up that you would like to share?
I think the one thing that comes to mind, and this is not a discredit on this person specifically, but there was a time that I went to the best way I can, I guess, describe it is a business consultant. And I have always avoided things like mentorships or, taking advice from people like that, because I wanted to be able to do everything by myself is the first part of it. But the second part of it, and I guess the lesson that I learned within that is, this is a very fucking difficult business to describe. Like, I try a lot. And I don't think people get this as a business. I don't think people necessarily get the people that I work with, which I think is a huge part of it. So there was a long period of time. Well, it was about 6 months that I worked with this person. And I think that, me and the trusting of that person and the process and the investment of time, money, and effort that went into the changes that were made, I think that is one thing that I would go back and change, because it sort of threw things off. And I think if I look back to when I made the realization that this isn't the right direction, it was more a case of I don't necessarily like the term mistake, because there's a lesson within it. But if I were to be able to go back and change it, maybe I wouldn't go back and change it. But the one thing that comes to mind is taking advice and direction from somebody else on something that I built that didn't necessarily work. And there was a lot of things that needed unfucked after that, which, lessons within that, as I said.
That's cool. I like how you frame it, lessons learned. That's also what I do. Like, I also think there are no really mistakes, but just lessons. Things might not work out how we want them to work out, but then we know how it's not done.
Yeah, we know what not to do. Again, I'm not I don't want to learn that lesson a second time.
Exactly. That's when you get stupid, do the same mistake again. But as I said, not a mistake really, if you just do it once. But so you said like everything grew, right? How big is this whole thing now? So
in what context?
In terms of how many clients do you have, and how do you manage to like teach them all? Let me say teach them. So I know you grew a team, that's part of that. So just maybe.
How big is this whole thing? At the minute, we have about 100 clients between the private clients that I work with and then the ones that are in the endgame program. How do I manage them all? I have an ability to get a lot of work done. I just have that, like, I'm willing to just put the fucking work in.
Cool.
And then obviously bringing the team on board. So Thomas and Jen, they obviously manage the clients, some of the clients within endgame. And then obviously bringing in, Sean, he manages some of the calls. Rainish, he manages some of the calls. So understanding that I'm not an expert at everything. I don't know it all. I'm bringing in experts in areas that I see would be beneficial to, one, the business, and number two, the people that I work with. So I use, Lorena as an example from a mobility perspective. I am not a mobile person. And I feel like if I think back to me in the gym floor, being active, being on my feet all the time, literally lifting weights all day for people, or, just generally being up and about, to me, now, I guess 5 years, just over 5 years, having a desk job. If I feel the way that I do now in my body with the lack of movement, and I have clients that have been sat at a desk for 30 years, they're definitely going to benefit from mobility in some way, shape, or form. So learning that there are other elements of the business or other elements of people in terms of what they need from a health and longevity perspective, being able to bring people in, and I guess delegating, which is a fucking difficult thing to do as someone who has obnoxiously high standards for a lot of things.
That was my next question. How do you manage to lose control, like as a control freak myself, and I see you as a control freak too. So how hard was it for you to actually trust other people to teach your clients and not fuck up? And what did you put in, and as an addition, did you put in any security like fallbacks for yourself, like so you can actually do it, like a lifeline?
I think number one, Dill corrected me indirectly when he said it to everybody else that he doesn't think I'm a control freak, I'm a quality freak. So it's not necessarily control. It's not necessarily control for me. It's the quality of things. If I take everything back to what the goal is with We Hack Health and what the mission is, I know that I can't. No, I don't want to. I'm not putting that on myself. I don't want the task of doing that myself. it needs to be bigger than me. And within that, I need to bring people in that have different expertise. So I guess it was in some ways realizing that I was being selfish if I wanted to do everything myself, and I needed to be able to delegate some things. And I didn't nail it right away. There was a coach that was hired that wasn't a good fit for the team, wasn't a good fit for the business, and being able to recognize that and being able to correct it and understanding, okay, right, you make these decisions. Some will be really fucking good ones, some not so much. And I guess that's just the fucking lessons you learn in business in general.
That's true. And also you learned that was not the end of the business.
No,
having
one of the big shifts was, stopping thinking myself as quote unquote just a personal trainer and shifting to a business owner was one of the biggest shifts, because both of those things need two different thought processes.
Yeah.
And going into that element of business owner and talking to other people who own businesses like yourself, or talking to Dave, or even, Matt and I talk all day, every day about business in general, like having an understanding that, okay, right, this one problem as a personal trainer needs solved in one way, but this problem as a business owner needs solved in a different way.
Okay. So we naturally came to this question now. What's the bigger plan? What's the vision you have? So I know that's a hard question, but what's the next steps? What are your ideas? You grew it, like you added many capabilities to the coaches. Like you said, you added Lorena for mobility, and you have Sean for mental health. Well, are there any other things coming in the pipeline? Do you have any just other sorts of growing? What's your vision there?
I mean, the plan is to continue to grow it. The next step for me is to, I guess, unfuck what I'm about to tell you in terms of like what the next thing is. But that will involve continuing to grow the team. And even within that, it's okay. Yes, we have Sean, we have Lorena, we have Thomas, we have Jen, but it's what other experts can we bring in that will benefit the end user, and thinking about it from that perspective. If I think, okay, right, well, what does this person need, and can we find someone who is better at that than I am, and bring them into the business?
Anything spring to mind?
I think probably someone that is well versed in nutrition. They could give a lot more advice around that. Someone who is, we joked about it a couple of times, but potentially this could be, something to look at, like someone who has a lot more knowledge around like the medical side. I'm not saying that we're going to have a doctor specifically, but someone who, that sort of field. Then beyond that, the goal is to grow this, like take it right back to the mission. Number one, clarify and get crystal clear on what the mission is. So that's the next step. Really define it in not a non-committal, nonchalant, these are cool words but don't mean anything way. Like, this is what We Hack Health is, and this is what we're trying to do. And then just continue to grow it. I want to find a way that we can go into companies and be like, okay, right, look, this is what we offer. This is how many employees you have. This is what it looks like. This is what we will do for them and for you as a business, and this is why it would benefit it. Continue to understand what the struggles are within the industry and how we can help overcome them. And truthfully, be the business and set the standard within the tech and cybersecurity space for health and fitness and well over.
That's perfect. So stopping from the business now, but just going on to you as a person, is there anything that do you have any goal for your personal development that you want to reach within the next years, maybe, or maybe this year or whenever? Just a thing that you really want to change and you want to work on, because you're working with everybody and giving everybody goals, like, right? But what's your goal?
First of all, I'll say from a personal / business perspective, I find it difficult to separate the two.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
For me, I think all of the stuff that I go through and all of the things that I need to do to grow the business will grow me as a person.
Yeah.
So, like, even what I just said in terms of what the goal is for We Hack Health, that's going to take a lot of learning on my side. A previous version of me would have said a different it would take a different version of me, but the growth that I will go through as a person as I grow the business, they go hand in hand, because it's
absolutely.
I struggle to separate the two. Maybe at one stage in my life I will be able to separate the two, and that's a conversation that Sean and I touched on whenever we recorded. If I take it right down to like me as a person, I need to be better. I need to be better at I guess the truth, like sleep, like looking after my own health, like doing the things that I prescribe. Because again, I'm so invested in this as a mission and growing this that I will sacrifice my own, I don't want to say health because I'm not unhealthy, but I will put this before myself. And then realizing even within that, if I think back to what I help other people do, it's understanding they need to put themselves first. And it's just me, I guess, taking responsibility for my own actions in that space and taking those things a little bit more seriously. And I always say that after this, I'll do that, which is, again, something I hear quite a lot. So I guess to answer your question, Amy, stop being such a fucking hypocrite a lot of the time. Yeah. But I do recognize that. And it's not, like I said, it's not a total piss take on that side, but I do know I need to be better at that because I need to be better in myself to sort of, I'll not say complete the mission, but continue to grow it.
Okay, so I just have one question left, okay. And to find this, if you would have to choose one aspect of the whole thing, React Health, doesn't matter what, to pick each area, which would your favorite aspect be of the whole thing?
Of Rehack Health in general, the business, the whole thing, or no
everything.
Further context, the whole thing? Okay,
no further context.
Okay, that's okay. My favorite thing in my observation, and I guess what I've realized within the past 6 to 9 months, is I love the building the thing, and the thing isn't necessarily completely specific. So whether that is building out a new check-in system or building out a fucking 20-page jet lag management protocol,
which I read, by the way.
Good.
On my trip, which was
totally fucking useless. Perfect. Thank you so much. But I really love going through that process, and I love the process, but I also love the delivery of it. Like I love even the events. Like I love the process of building the events and continue to grow them.
So the creation.
Yeah, creating the thing is the thing that I love the most.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I would. Like, if I see you and what you do, I can totally agree that this is an honest answer. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bit of a curveball for you. We have a question for you that's in that book.
I would not expect less.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what the question is. We have commandeered the concept of the Diary of a CEO cards, and the last guest has left a question for you, which is, what has been the biggest... I know how you're going to answer this already. What has been the biggest mental change during your health journey?
My biggest mental change? Mm-hmm. That's nice that you know how I would answer this, but I'm
going to write it, okay. And we'll see if we're on track here.
So to answer really the question, usually I would say something like I don't change anymore, whatever, which is true, but to also answer the question, I think my biggest change mental is that I try to be more open to people, like be more like, what's it called, approachable, and not repulsive. Like don't push them away, even with my like So I think that's it. Like be more approachable to people. I try to be more approachable, and yeah.
Okay, fair. That's not what I wrote, but I'll tell you in a second. But I would agree, and I've said this to you a couple of times this week, like I feel like you're different. And maybe that's what it is. We were laughing that you were fucking doing the tours of the Airbnb and bringing people in. I was like, who the fuck is this? But I agree with that. What I wrote, and you and I've had this conversation before, and I guess that this is where it came from. The mental change for you came before the physical journey, the health journey.
Yeah, that's why I said first that I usually would have answered like I didn't change. I changed before. But yeah, I wanted to give an answer. So good. I think this...
But even that in itself, that's a change because you did. So
I want to be more approachable, so I answered it.
Yeah, good. Perfect.
Nice. Thanks. That's it.
Thanks for having me on my own podcast.
Thanks for having me, being the host of your own
None
podcast.
of us know what's going on at this point. We'll get him to produce the next one and you and I'll